Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, ihatecritics.com, Everyone's a Critic podcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The handle is CriticsPod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Alexa, Stitcher, all your podcatchers. Subscribe to the show, rate and review the show. We'll read your reviews on the air. And then Patreon, ihatecritics.net/Patreon, or go to our website and click on the Patreon link. It's the best way to help support the podcast. Get yourself a credit on the show. And then we have our merchandise store at TeePublic. At ihatecritics.net, there's a little icon off to the side you can click on. There you have the new designs from our cousin Jeff. We have the Cameron Diaz's shoulder, the Willem Dafoe's confusingly large wiener, and then Batman vs. Jesus, along with our logo and the Lord of the Rings stuff. But that's all there, and that's it. Coronavirus, so we're shut down for 3 weeks. We'll talk to you later.
We're quarantined.
But it is going to be weird. The theaters aren't. I don't know if they're closing yet per se, but they aren't releasing movies, so. The next few weeks will be interesting. We'll still do some sort of content.
Sure.
Next week we have the 90s movies for sure. We have a couple classics we're kicking around. And there's always streaming, so...
Yeah, I'm going to dunk on Pretty Woman pretty hard next week, so...
Watch, you're going to rewatch and be like, oh my god, I love this movie.
That'll never happen. I've seen that movie way too many times, so... It was my mother's favorite movie, which makes this hard. Like, a week after the 7-year anniversary of her death, I'm just going to talk about the movie she loved more than anything and how much I hate it.
Now, is
I'm an awful human being.
I mean, I should wait till next week, but is your hatred justified, or is it something you hold against it? Well, I know, but so there's nothing that you're just kind of holding it to a different standard because people like it.
Yeah, I think it's awful. I think it's just awful. I think it's rich people condescending to the extraordinarily poor people. Like, don't worry, there's a prince out there for everybody. Fuck you, you fucking assholes. You and your fucking bullshit fantasy.
It's all movies. It's supposed to be fantasy. That's how I feel about Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. There's no space wars. Fuck all of you. It's never going to happen.
This just feels like a much meaner lie, though. Like, because there's almost a reality to this.
Right.
Like, this could happen as opposed to a Star War. A rich guy could theoretically meet a prostitute and change her entire life. Theoretically.
Maybe he has.
Maybe he has.
For better or worse. I don't know. I mean, it's...
The sequel is just him emotionally abusing her for the rest of her life. Where do you think you're going to go, huh? Where do you think you're going to go for the rest? Huh? You think you can leave me and you got someplace to go now? Huh? You going to go back to the streets?
Then even if you take the prostitute out of it, if you take the prostitute out of it, you still have. I mean, you look at the Trumps of the world and right. the ugly old men that have attractive younger women that even if they're not abusive towards them, it's still like I got to live with this for. Is it really worth it? Yeah, Harvey Weinstein got sentenced.
Yeah, well, good.
He must have had the coronavirus happen because that was kind of buried in second news, but I guess it doesn't change anything. He's still going to jail for the rest of his life.
Weird how that walker disappeared after suddenly he gets convicted and now suddenly he doesn't need that walker anymore. That was weird, right? Because he's going around, like, during the trial, I can barely move,
Poor old pitiful me.
Suddenly the walker's gone the minute he's like, God damn it, get me out of the limo. Just walking.
Yeah, it's, you just hope more of this starts to come out and it doesn't just, we did it, we did our job, he's gone. Like he's the only one.
He's not even in jail yet.
I know.
He's just kind of hanging out, like doing whatever the fuck he wants for a couple of weeks, and then he'll, I guess, report to jail. Still. And just wait. We'll hear that. You know what? We've decided to have Harvey Weinstein stay at his New York mansion until the coronavirus passes, because it's a quarantine.
You don't want to pass it to the prisoners.
per quarantine, nobody gets to go to jail right now. Just you have to go home.
I mean, almost what's the most, I shouldn't say the most sad, but one of the worst things about it is, like, I truly believe he doesn't think he did something wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a lot of people that are like that, have that mentality, and it's just scary and sad, and I don't know. Glad they got one. Just got to keep going. It's not over now. There were movies that came to the theater. I don't think any of them made the top 10.
Oh, really? Is it that bad? I thought...
Onward's number 1, The Invisible Man's number 2, Way Back 3, Sonic 4, Call of the Wild 5, Emma 6, Bad Boys 7, Birds of Prey 8, and Practical Jokers 9. My Hero Academia 10. I don't even know what that is.
At last week's box office?
Oh, they didn't release this week's. Did they just give up on doing it? Maybe Box Office Mojo must have shut down for the quarantine.
Because I was reading that I still believe made like $9.1 million. I would imagine that would be enough to make the top 10.
Yeah, Box Office Mojo didn't. They're behind. They don't have this last weekend up yet. Usually they do on Sundays at this time when we record. So, never mind. They did make their money. Bloodshot made $3 million so far, and that's just Friday alone.
Yeah.
So, and The Hunt made $2 million, and that's just Friday. So, never mind. Ignore me. Bloodshot. Tell me about Bloodshot.
Bloodshot is perhaps the worst movie of 2020 so far, for me at least. This movie sucks. I hate it. I hate it a lot. And I'm a fan of Vin Diesel, as everybody knows. I'm a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. For all of their terribleness, I really enjoy the way that they're terrible. I enjoy the boldness and the craziness of how unique and interestingly bad those movies are. They're never not entertaining for how silly they are. This movie is not remotely entertaining, even no matter how silly it gets. The notion here is that he's playing a superhero character from a variant comic called Bloodshot. He's called Bloodshot because he's a soldier who was killed and then brought back to life using nanotechnology. And these
Universal Soldiers?
So this nanotechnology in his body is able to rebuild him in the, like whatever Wolverine's power is to regenerate. That's what this guy's got, but with nanotechnology. And it makes him also like super powerful, so he can like punch columns and shit. Like Guy Pearce is the one who's done this to him, brought him back to life, and in doing so, it rebuilt him. But he's also got control of his mind. So the nanotechnology that he uses to bring back his brain, he's using it to manipulate him. So he keeps putting these images and memories into Vin Diesel's head. And each time he does this, it's a different target. So basically he has this like recurring memory of his wife being killed. Diesel does. And he sees the guy doing it. It's the same guy it's a different guy every time, but every time he's put down and woken up again. So it's kind of like, oddly enough, with Guy Pearce in this role, it's kind of like Memento as a comic book, if you think about it. Because this guy's got false memory, and he keeps getting a different guy to kill every time who he thinks killed his wife. Oddly enough. So every time he has this memory of his wife being killed, it's to the song Psycho Killer by Talking Heads. And it's Toby Kebbell is the first one. He sees him like dancing around, acting like a psychopath before he puts a bullet in Diesel's wife's head. And then the next guy, they do the same thing, and the next guy, until he finally starts to wake up a little bit. And then the other people around him, like some of the people who he's working with, don't feel right about it, so they start to kind of let him in on the whole thing that's going on until he decides to turn it all around and take everything down and use his nanotechnology against the bad guy.
But if he keeps forgetting all the time, how does he remember after they start telling him that?
Well, see, he only forgets after they like have to shut him down and then redo his brain. So if they can't shut him down...
So they at least thought of that. Okay,
yeah,
good.
They did explain that. It just, who the fuck cares? By the time you're about halfway through this movie, you're just like, get it over with already. Just stop repeating yourself and just get this fucking movie over with. It's so bad. It's so dull. And Diesel's just on autopilot. he doesn't even seem to buy into this and be interested in it. And that's weird coming from him, because he's usually like, his weird level of commitment to what he does, even as laid back as he is, he believes everything that he does, and that kind of at least gives it a sort of sadness, like a pathetic quality. And I don't even really get that here. Like, he doesn't even seem particularly invested in doing this.
That's in it. Is it because they forgot about fun and tried to be too serious, or or is it too silly? I mean, where did they go wrong?
I think it's just it's a lot of it is the direction. The director doesn't really know what he's doing. All the time, the cuts in this movie are bizarre. Like, the bizarre choices this guy makes, just suddenly we're in a close-up, then we're over here, then we're over here, then we're over here, then we're in a close-up again, then we're over here, and it's like every couple seconds just ripping around the room like we're a fucking fly on the wall, which I understand that's a style, but it's a weird fucking style to employ.
Right.
Just suddenly we're here, and now we're here, and then we're here, and then we're over here, and we're looking up, we're looking down. Pick a perspective. Have a fucking cohesiveness to the fucking scene, please. There's no cohesiveness. We're here, and then we're over here, and then we're over here, and it just doesn't make any sense. And it just drove me nuts. Anytime there's not an action scene going on, we're bouncing all over the place. And then in an action scene, it's all slow motion walking towards bullets as they rip into his body, so we can see the nanotechnology come together to rebuild him.
Is there, even the Olympus is falling type of audience like this movie?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know who likes this. I really don't know who this is for.
It doesn't sound like it would appeal to those people.
I guess there's a cult audience for the comic book Bloodshot, but
I don't know.
It's really bad. This is a bad movie in so many different ways. It's amateurish and dull, and it made $9.3 million, which is a huge fail. Huge fail.
Well, in fairness, more people saw movies during 9/11, like you were telling me before the show.
Yes, more people went to the movies on the weekend after September 11th than went to the movies this weekend. Onward did $12.5 million. I Still Believe did $10.9 million, which I didn't see that movie. Sorry, guys. Bloodshot, then Invisible Man, then The Hunt, which did $5.7 million.
Really?
Sonic, The Way Back, Call of the Wild, 8th. Emma 9, and Bad Boys for Life in 10th place.
How come you get are you at Box Office Mojo?
No, I went to Deadline.
Oh, you went to the real spot. Like I said, they must have let their employees go home for 2 to 3 weeks. We'll come back in 4 weeks, and I'll start reading Onward again. You'll be
dude,
shut up.
Box Office Mojo is pretty much dead at this point. IMDb has pretty much put a bullet in their head already.
Yeah, I need to get used to Deadline. I'm just it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
That go back here for the podcast.
Box Office Mojo used to be a really great site. Really, a lot of entertaining stuff. I was thinking I could go there and track all the stuff that got moved, because they used to be great about that. They used to have an entire page dedicated to release dates and release date changes, and that's not even there anymore.
Once big corporations take it over.
What is I don't understand the business approach. Like, hey, look at that. That's working. Let's take it over and destroy it.
It's just a popular name. They can make their own. I mean, now it's something different.
Here's hoping the Numbers stays independent, because I use them a lot too.
I think everybody knows what the Numbers is. I think we're fine there.
Oops. Don't say it out loud.
Don't listen to us either. We're good. The Hunt.
The Hunt, yes. This is the controversial movie that got delayed by a mass shooting and by tweets from the president. This one stars Betty Gilpin as a woman named Crystal, who is kidnapped and taken and dropped in this field with a group of 11 other people. They are given guns, and they really have no idea what's going on. Well, what's going on is that a group of elite liberals has decided to hunt them for sport. They are led by two-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank, and I think the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that him? I barely recognized him.
Well, it's been a while since they've really, there's so many TV shows now. You just all of a sudden there's another season of Sunny out.
But nobody really has much of any kind of role other than Betty Gilpin. She's really the center here. You spend most of your time with her. Emma Roberts is in this movie for reasons. Why was she here?
I think there's a lot of people you recognize from small, like Emma Roberts. There's a couple comedians that do from It's Always Sunny.
Ike Barinholtz.
So then now you're like, okay, this must be the star, and then they die. So I think that's kind of the reason for it.
Yeah, but the Emma Roberts one is baffling. I mean,
I don't think so.
I thought unless she's supposed to be the kill from Scream.
They all kind of are supposed to be the kill from Scream. So they keep shifting who the star. I mean, I don't know. It didn't baffle me too much because I forgot. I knew Betty Gilpin was in it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it centered around her, and I did know Hilary Swank was in it. So in a way, it's kind of a spoiler alert because she gets revealed at the end, the biggest star. But
she's in the trailer.
I don't remember the trailer. Well, the trailer is so old at this point. I've been so far away from it that I didn't know much about it.
So basically, yeah, she's the star here. She's going to try and rescue herself. Everybody who's being hunted is some form of right-wing person, and the liberal elites have kidnapped them to hunt them and kill them. And as irony, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if I call it. Go ahead.
I don't want to say anything bad. I don't hate this movie. I just don't. I kind of like the idea that I think the best way for me to look at this movie is not so much as a political movie, because as a political movie, it's got that bullshitted both sides-ness that I just don't care for. What I do like about this movie, though, is thinking about it as just the living embodiment of Twitter.
Well, I think that was the intent.
That's really how I take this movie, is that this is the living embodiment of Twitter. Just everybody trying to kill each other with words, but here they get to use bullets. And there's like one good person who really probably isn't actually on Twitter, but is mistaken for having been there. And she's the one good person in the movie.
That's 100% what I think the intent was. They hide behind the political thing to make it, which is what got it shut down by Trump. But it's really not about liberals killing, because they're not even real liberals. They're pieces of shit who want to appear to be liberals because they keep catching themselves saying stupid things. Right. Then they're correcting each other. They're the, when they use social justice warrior as a bad word, this is the kind of people you're thinking of who aren't. I mean, these are rich assholes who are doing stupid stuff, being horrible, but they pretend to be, that I'm a good person because I'm this. Yeah. But you're really right. It's more about social media and the way. I mean, it really is. It is a movie about social media. Yeah. And that's why it's my favorite. I mean, granted, I haven't seen Invisible Man in the way back, but it's my favorite movie of the year by far. And because it's not a political movie, it really does capture social media so perfectly. And it's just fascinating, especially at the end of that final fight. And you're just like, that's not even the person she thought it was. I mean, it's just. Yeah. No one's going to get that because it's hard. I mean, you're going to get it because you go to a lot of movies, but I think your average person is going to they're going to think it's just liberals killing conservatives. But it's so much more than that, and I don't know. I just love this movie. It's a full-blown genre movie, but it was entertaining. It was fun. It was smart. I don't know. I just thought it was fantastic.
I think that what the controversy. Let's be sure we understand. The controversy happened when nobody had actually seen the movie.
Correct.
So Trump wasn't basing this on any kind of actual information when he tweeted about it. And the weird thing is that, like, you could argue this politically from either side. Like, okay, well, this is liberals killing conservatives, or this is conservatives being killed by liberals, and this is really actually a conservative movie. No, it's neither. No, it's really not. It's really not a political movie at all. I don't. There's aspects of it that kind of feel like a little like they don't really nail the tone completely that they're trying to go for me. I do sense like they don't really have all of their ducks in a row when it comes to trying to make this an overall satire. It took a lot for me to get to that whole idea that it was just about social media, which I think they could have underlined that a little bit better. Made that a little bit sharper, I think. But overall, I think this is a good movie. I just don't think it's as good as it should be, especially when it's for what it's going for. I don't think it has enough of that type of solid humor to it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I disagree, but at the same time, it's like there's that fine line that you walk of being spoon-fed versus not giving enough, and And we have the advantage of going to lots of movies, and we're used to this kind of stuff. And on top of the fact that we all kind of, I can't stand social media. I'm sure you understand. Clearly that's how you got to it. So there's elements of recognizing that. But you're right. People will watch this and not get it, which, I suppose that's the movie's fault in a way. Why, like when Hereditary came out and like people didn't get it.
Yeah.
That I hate to blame the movie. I want to just say they're dumber than I am, but people didn't get it, so I don't know.
I think this movie could be sharper, though. I do. I think there's an element of it that could have been a little bit sharper, a little bit more edgy, a little bit more on point about what it was getting to. It took a while to get there, and that's fine. It's got kind of a slow burn in that way, but it definitely. I felt like I had to bring a lot to this movie as opposed to what's actually there.
Yeah, I don't know what I brought. It's hard. It would be hard for me to say, but in a way, to me, it's more of like a punk rock thing where it's like you don't even need to understand. If you just watch it for a full-blown action genre movie, violent, that alone makes it entertaining. But all the substance to it is, I don't know.
It's kind of funny, though, when you think about this. Recently, there was this thing on Twitter about this director of a movie called Guns Akimbo. And he got into this whole Twitter argument with people. And he was literally attacking people that had nothing to do with what happened. And he's just going at them, just full guns blazing on Twitter, going at these people who had nothing to do with the situation that he was tweeting about. And then kind of just like, I'm watching this going, this is kind of like that. This is kind of like that. They're actually attacking the very wrong person here for the wrong reason.
Yeah, basically this whole movie...
That's just all Twitter is just a lot of these types of arguments where there are people arguing over things that are totally have nothing to do with them, but they've decided to involve themselves in.
Yeah, and they definitely it really unravels everything at the end in terms of the social media stuff. You have no idea it's about that. They hint at it a little bit, but for the most part, it's the end when you really get to that, where they kind of explain what's going on. And I don't know,
I guess the part that bothered me, and we're well into spoiler territory at this point, I would say. So the thing that I think fails for me, and I think it's a weird failure, is that they don't really nail the idea of whether or not she was the person that they were talking about. Like, I don't think she was, obviously. I don't believe that she was, but they could have really said something more definitive about that. Like, because it's, and set it up visually in a better way, because the tweet that they picked up on, that makes them think they chose her, is her getting flipped off by somebody who clearly that must be their Twitter using their finger to flip her off, but they think the tweet is coming from her, so they think she tweeted a picture of someone flipping her off.
Well, I don't know.
That detail could have been tighter, is what I'm saying. They could have made a tighter bit, something. They could have done something visually to underline that a little bit better, to make it a little bit more vague.
I guess they're relying on her being honest, being a reliable narrator. So I'll agree with that, but I guess I didn't look at all those pictures as this is what they were necessarily doing. It was just these were the pictures they pulled. But again, to me, it doesn't really change the movie. But I suppose it could have made it tighter. But the main thing is that these liberals weren't really doing anything. They were just making fun of people behind the scenes in a group text. But they were rich and stupid, and somehow it got leaked, and they were joking about hunting conservatives. These conservatives took it and blew it up on Twitter and Instagram and all these social media places, podcasts, and then the liberals decided, well, fuck them, let's actually do it, and they ground up all these people and they actually hunt them. So in a sense, the conservatives made it happen. I don't know, and it's you do gotta. I think it's clear, but clearly you just put something online, it becomes truth, and that's kind of what they're getting at. And I suppose you could bring that too, but I don't know how it's not there. But at the same time, I don't know.
It's rather roundabout and convoluted.
Which I kind of like. I don't want it to be, I don't know. If it was too, but I know what you're saying. There's that fine line where you just want it to be perfect. And I think that's why that's more of a punk rock thing for me, because that's definitely not perfect. Like I heard one time I went and saw Alice Cooper's backing band play at a local bar, and they were playing like a Ramones song, and it was just too tight. It's got to, it wasn't perfect. It needs to be not perfect, and that's what makes it better, for at least at certain things for me. And that's kind of what I liked about this one, And, I mean, I've always liked movies like that, so it's also to my preference as well. But I don't know. To me, I think there's a certain audience that's going to love this movie, and I'm just glad it finally came out and got a theatrical release.
I like this movie, and I especially like Betty Gilpin, who's incredible. She's just awesome beginning to end.
I just wish she could do.
She is the one person in this movie that nails the tone from beginning to end. She totally gets what this this is, and if she isn't perfect, then the movie fails completely.
Oh yeah, no, I agree completely. And her and Hilary Swank at the end, it's just so much fun. I mean, you're talking maybe better than They Live fight scene. I mean, it's right up there with it. I mean, it's something. I don't know. I really,
uniquely shot.
Yeah, just fun, and it's just good. And she did Marin's podcast right before this was supposed to come out last year, and was all excited about it. She was kind of, talking about how she kind of felt like just there for TNA for that Nurse Betty or whatever that show, Nurse Jackie, whatever it is on Showtime, and then even in Glow, she knows it's better, but she still feels like there's a little bit of that TNA part of her character that she didn't like. She was really excited for this movie, and at the time they didn't know it was going to get postponed. So it's almost a heartbreaking podcast. And then she goes and does a kind of a shitty horror movie because you got to act, you got to work, and it's just like if she could just get these offers all the time. She'd be one of my favorite actresses ever. I mean, I love her anyway, but this just so good, so good.
She's really great.
Yeah. Spenser Confidential.
Mark Wahlberg and Winston Duke star in this Netflix original about a Boston cop who gets busted for beating up his captain, sent to prison for 5 years. He's about to get out. Why do they flash the word prison above the prison? What was that? I just got to stop and ask that question because it was one of the dumber things I've ever seen in a movie. And that motif comes back at the end for no good reason, but that is not part of the movie throughout.
You're way more observant than me.
Just for some reason, the camera is hovering over a prison, and it says prison. And I'm like, okay, I think I picked up on that from the visual, but thank you.
That is pretty dumb. I just went in one ear out the other for me.
We go inside the prison. Mark Wahlberg is there, and he meets up with the Aryan Brotherhood, headed up by Post Malone for reasons.
It's got face tattoos, that's why.
Yeah, I guess. He's the head of the Aryan Brotherhood. They go to attack Wahlberg, and we get to see why he's the baddest cop in Boston, because he beats up everybody and walks away. He's even unharmed by getting shanked. Like, it just doesn't even bother him. Like, whatever, paper cut, pull that out of my back, throw it on the floor. I don't even... No, medical attention? Nah, fuck that. I'm Mark Wahlberg. Fuck it. Just throw that right on the ground. I'm just going to put a shirt on. I'll be fine. He goes out and gets in the car. Alan Arkin is waiting for him, playing Alan Arkin, as he does in every movie. He's his mentor. I'm okay with that, though. He's Wahlberg's mentor. Not his dad or his granddad. He's his mentor, whatever the fuck that relationship is. Sorry, this movie bothers me in a lot of ways. So basically, he goes back home, is met there by his former partner, Bokeem Woodbine, who should just have the tattoo of bad guy on his forehead, because clearly he is the extraneous character here that shows up and says, oh, hey, you're leaving town? Good, yeah, you should probably leave town. That's good, yeah. No, don't suspect me for anything, but I'm glad you're leaving town, buddy. See you later, all right? Have a good one. So yeah, Mark Wahlberg's character is planning on leaving town to become a truck driver. That's, of course, not going to happen. But he's got a girlfriend who just exists to fuck him, I guess. She's just desperate to have his dick constantly, even though she hates him, though. But she hates him, and they're going to break up. But she's got to have his dick because he's Mark Wahlberg. And we'll see that later on when she just happens to see him at a restaurant and has to have sex with him in that moment. Just that moment she's got to have sex with him because, I don't know, he's Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
But would you guess, weirdly enough, the police department is corrupt. I mean, this never happens, but apparently this this movie, we've got corrupt cops, because that's never a trope in movies. The captain that he beat up 5 years earlier, the day that he gets out of prison, happens to get murdered. And what's weird about that is you would think that would be the process for setting up the Wahlberg character to be the one who killed him, to cover up the whole conspiracy, right? Nope. That scene is dismissed immediately by his partner, who goes to his former partner, Woodbine, shows up, interviews him, I got an alibi. Okay, he's got an alibi, everybody, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, let's stop there for a little bit. I had to lie to Sean, first of all, to make him watch this movie. Hey, it's pretty good. Peter Berg directed it. That's what I told him, and then he went and watched it. The guy that Wahlberg beat up, you don't really know why he beat him up.
No.
And he's kind of likable when he dies. You know what I'm saying? So you lose a little bit there. I mean, they weren't very clear. I mean, clearly there's something bad about him, but
he beats up his wife. We know that.
Right, I guess we know that. But as he's dying, he's on the phone helping his daughter with his homework. Yeah. So it's like he's a likable guy when he gets killed. But he's supposed to kind of be a bad guy, but he's getting killed by a worse guy. I don't know. This movie is... It should be... Like, a good director could have made this probably pretty decent.
This is Peter Berg.
Peter Berg makes it kind of...
riddled with cliches.
Yeah, halfway fun bad, but kind of like... not really worth need to see it. I mean, I'll go fun bad, not too fun bad, but it's like I don't mind the girlfriend character. I thought she was entertaining at least.
She's good. The character is
it's
problematic.
Yeah,
to say the least.
But she has fun with it the entire time. His little, not Alan Arkin, but his little buddy, his the MMA fighter he's training.
Oh, Winston Duke.
Yeah, he doesn't really act. He just kind of he doesn't really do anything other than be the muscle, and I don't know.
That's the dad from Us.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right. You're right.
And he was one of the tribe leaders from Black Panther.
That's right. Now that I knew I recognized him, and now I know what it's from. But I mean, there's no real charisma there. He just kind of is there. I don't know if he was like, started to realize that I don't like this movie, so I'm just going to get through the shoot. Which kind of makes it entertaining in a way. I don't know. It is not good at all.
No, it's really not. I had a lot of fun watching it, but it's only because I was enjoying how bad it is. It's so bad. It's so riddled with cliches. It's just every cliche. And if it's not a cliche, then it's just a choice that's made that's bad. Like they said, he's got an alibi, so I guess we're done here. No, that was your plot. You just walked away. Well, no, we painted ourselves into that corner, so now we're going to just create another corner. Let's just go off into this corner. That makes no sense. Mark Wahlberg is completely bulletproof. They invent a gang for this movie that uses machetes, and the only reason they use machetes is because if they used guns, we wouldn't be able to fucking believe anything they do.
Right.
Because Mark Wahlberg would be dead immediately. But then at the end, they use guns out of nowhere. Suddenly, everybody who's been using machetes now uses guns. Now they do.
Well, never mind the fact that at one point he walks into a bar full of all the bad guys alone. And somehow comes out just so he can get to the third act.
Well, we'd already seen it, but they already established, Bob, that he can beat up 4 people at once. So he can beat up 4 cops at once, too.
Yeah, one of those guys is Post Malone. So.
Oh, this movie's terrible. It's terrible. The Winston Duke character, has nothing to do but just be the perfect guy. He's everything that Wahlberg wants him to do. He's just on board for. He goes up to a gangster's car and carves a kitty face on the side of it, and okay, I'm just gonna do that now.
I mean, I guess he is clearly a badass, but it's still just kind of he just doesn't really emote any energy and it's just very straight ahead. And maybe that was the direction. Probably was the direction. Peter Berg exists in this weird world where it's not full blown Roland Emmerich, Michael Bay, but it's not. It's I don't know. It's almost bad. I don't know. You got the Scorseses and the great directors over here. You got these and it just kind of is this in between there, wanting to be Scorsese, but having the style of Michael Bay, and just kind of just living this weird little lane that
the craftsman who fancies himself an auteur.
Right.
Doesn't realize that he's not that great a craftsman.
I mean, he's made a decent movie here and there. With Wahlberg even.
Yeah.
A couple of them were okay. Then he's got his Rambo True Story movie. And once again, Wahlberg.
I like to think of that movie as the Black Knight from Monty Python movie.
Based on true events. Bullshit. Yeah. I mean, it was a Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg movie. That's all I can really say about it.
And it's apparently a TV show, I guess, because they set up the next episode at the end. I'm going to spoil the last scene if I can.
Go for it.
So they're sitting around this restaurant, all of our heroes, the girlfriend, Alan Arkin, Winston Duke, and Mark. They're all sitting around this table, and this news report comes on, and it's about this fire chief who is being accused of burning down some church, and Wahlberg's like watching it go and just getting more and more excited. Everybody's like, no, change the channel, no, don't, no, change the channel, don't let him see it. They know he's such a good guy, he can't resist getting involved.
Yeah.
So lame. It's so lame. And they bring back the motif at the end, that thing I said about the prison, the word prison, because they had prison over the... They bring that back at the end, and I can't remember what it says now, but it's there. Like, I don't know if it says restaurant. Or so fucking stupid shit.
Yeah, I mean, if it was done on purpose to be stupid, that's one thing, but it doesn't seem like when you're a craftsman who thinks of himself as an auteur, we gotta spoon feed him.
In case all the bars and the barbed wire and the cops and the guards don't get it to you, prison. Here's the word prison for no good reason. And this motif will not return.
And as fun as we're having talking about it, I had actually forgotten about it till you told me Spenser Confidential is on the podcast this week. So I'm sure when we're done at the Classic, we will never talk about this movie ever again and think about it.
But you know what? I bet this was actually the real #1 movie in America. In terms of the people who watched it, I'm betting this was the #1 movie in America this weekend.
I don't doubt it. People are scared.
Netflix is actually doing a thing now where they'll tell you what the #1 movie is on their site, and that's what it said on this movie, was that it was #1 on Netflix.
They got to do what they can to keep. I mean, they have that name recognition for now, but as Disney Plus and these other sites start to do their own thing, they're going to have to.
Yeah, to just a tangent for a moment, we were talking at the movie theater. I was talking to the managers over at the movie theater, and they're a little nervous about the idea of not being able to work for like 3 weeks and whatnot. And I said, the thing you really got to worry about is if they decide to drop Mulan on Disney Plus in 3 weeks. And that would be a bigger concern, I would say, than
see how it works
than just moving it.
Yeah, this could be over in 3 weeks, or this could last through this. I mean, I don't think it's gonna.
The nature of this virus is that it's once warmer weather comes around, it's not going to be able to survive as easily.
Right. That's the thought. There's nothing backing that up yet,
right.
But common sense kind of says that. But we're kind of living in this week of an unknown, and it just has people freaking out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird time, but I think the economy. The funny thing is that everybody just everybody wants them to drop a bill that'll just pay for like a month, for everybody to get by for like a month, and then this will be over and everybody can stay home. And once we know that the government's able to do that, what does that tell you?
Right.
Like, the government right now is able to just drop a bunch of money for like a month to allow everybody to stay home. Like, really? You're able to do that? Oh, well, no. We can't do that. We can't. And so they're going to risk us going out in public regularly during this crisis just to prove that the economic model that they currently have is still viable.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. They really should just worry about slowing it down, it's not going to just not happen, but allow the hospitals to not be overrun
Yeah.
in one weekend. Allow it to spread out so the hospitals can keep up, and then everybody goes back to the day-to-day life. I don't know.
On the bright side, they're putting like these trailers in the CVS and Walgreens parking lots so people can get tested. And at the same time, they can drop in the tracker that they've been trying to put into everybody for years, and they've got them scared just enough that they'll let them put that tracker in. So, we got you.
Fucking Democrats.
That's right. I'm part of it. We have you now.
I just love how this became political. You know what I'm saying? There's that. Both sides are blaming each other for a fucking virus coming across. Yes, Trump said stupid shit, and he's doing stupid things, but this is not.
Just wait.
I know.
We're 2 weeks away from right wing podcasts going or left wing podcasts or some non-political podcast going. Trump did this intentionally.
Well, I've already heard Democrats did this intentionally to make Trump look bad. This is ridiculous. No, both and people are going to believe that shit because someone said it.
This is Trump's Bush did 9/11.
Yeah, this is why you need to go see The Hunt.
and how we make the hunt real.
Right.
Now get ready.
Luckily, Sean and I aren't rich, so no one can ruin our lives by taking this and making it go viral. But if we were, we'd hunt you. The Burnt Orange Heresy.
The Burnt Orange Heresy stars Claes Bang, a Danish theater actor, in the role of James Figueres. He is a art critic who is also an alcoholic and broke and rather desperate. We meet him. He's teaching. He's kind of curating this art installment where he's telling a story about an artist in World War II who was very famous, but also Jewish, and was taken to the camps. And he had a sister, and they were separated. And he closes it by saying, "None of that was real. None of that actually happened. But you look at this painting and you think that happened, and that makes it more valuable." And it's like, oh, that's cool. like a little turn, a little twist. And then he goes, no, wait, no, it actually did happen. No, wait, no, it didn't. No, I'm kidding. No, it didn't. Like over and over again, it really gets that point home very well. But in the back room of all this, there's all these old ladies there who he's hoping are going to buy his book. But in the back of the room is this beautiful blonde woman played by Elizabeth Debicki from Widows. And she's just kind of wandered in, and you don't quite know why, and she's kind of mysterious, and she's the one person who hangs around afterward to talk to him and maybe perhaps buy his book. And then they go out to dinner, and then they end up in bed, and you think it's just going to be this one-night stand thing, or at least they both seem to talk about it as if it's going to be this one-night stand. But then while she's still in his bed, he gets a phone call, and it's from this major art dealer, like this billionaire art dealer played by Mick Jagger. He wants Figueres to come to his manor because living in his guest house is this artist that has been missing for 40 years since his last art exhibit burned down and took most of his work with him. This is the holy grail of artist interviews, of people somebody the art world wants to hear from again. And Jagger believes that the guy who he's been giving free shelter to for years may actually be painting again. So he wants to bring in Figueres to go in and sneak in and use his cover as a critic to get him to find out if this guy's working again. And that's the setup, but there's much more to it than that, because he's also going in there to perhaps maybe steal a painting to sell, and Jagger's going to fund under the whole thing. And he brings along Elizabeth Debicki with him, just kind of randomly, because she's got nothing else to do. And you're kind of left to wonder what it is that she's doing. Is she actually secretly part of this, or is her backstory about being from Minnesota and just being a Midwesterner, just wandering through Italy, true? It's a lot of fun, is what I'm getting down to. Mick Jagger is amazing, because who else to better play an oblivious millionaire than Mick Jagger?
Millionaire, yeah.
He's just completely oblivious. He cares about nothing. He's vaguely interested in this plot, and it kind of tickles him. You can see how entertained he is by the idea of just setting up this poor bastard to go do this thing for him. And then there's Donald Sutherland, who plays the artist who's been in hiding all this time. And Bob, the scene where he's brought Figueres and Debicki to his house to perhaps see what he's been working on. Oh, it's beautiful, man. You're going to love it. When you see it, you're going to love this scene. It is so beautiful. This movie's really great. It's a fantastic little thriller. It's got a lot of really interesting touches, unexpected moments, great performances. I don't understand why it's not getting better reviews.
Is it available anywhere?
It's in limited release, and because of the whole coronavirus thing, limited release movies are kind of in a weird spot. They don't really know where they're going to go with them. So, it's awesome, though. I really enjoyed this a lot.
That sounds like I want to... Like, I'm just imagining where this could go, what he's been working on, without knowing anything about this movie. But, I mean, I have ideas in my head already, a bunch of them just kind of floating around that makes it that much more exciting.
And I've not spoiled anything, so you're really going to have fun with this.
God, I hope it comes to Amazon soon.
Yes, a great title, too. The Burnt Orange Heresy is a wonderful title for this movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized, undisputed classic.
The Hurt Locker.
Yes, The Hurt Locker, the movie that thankfully defeated Avatar for Best Picture. Thank God this movie won, because it deserves it. It's a great, great movie, and it still remains, all these years later, a really great movie. This movie feels like the anxiety I would imagine war feels like. And I know I'll never know that, and I don't claim to ever feel like I know that, but it feels like this is the kind of anxiety that you would have to feel constantly, and the kind of attitude that you would have to then adopt in order to deal with the level of anxiety that these men deal with, these men and women deal with all the time. Jeremy Renner is a bomb specialist. He's been brought back into the military for the Middle East and confrontations, and just about him just going into these situations where he's got to defuse roadside bombs, and it is terrifying. It is like a horror movie. They
capture it as if you're really there with him doing it.
Yeah, it is breathtaking to watch.
Yeah, it's. I mean, when we watch American Sniper, I talk about how I lost weight because my heart rate kept going. This makes that look like no. I mean, that it's still impressive. Don't get me wrong, but this takes that to another level, and I don't know. And it's such a I have a hard time with this movie because it's so real and so, when he goes home and he's an adrenaline junkie and he can't be home, and it kind of makes me not like him, but at the same time you have to appreciate what he does, and it's just it's a movie where you just can't really decide. You just know it's good. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain what I'm saying clearly.
It's just Bigelow captures these scenes that the tension of the scene in every scene just begins at a perfect spot and ends at a perfect spot, and it's this perfect thing of like grasping for breath and then
right.
So she nails like that catharsis beautifully every time.
Better than any movie ever has.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll throw this right. I mean, it's its own little niche, but no movie has captured that kind of stress and realism like she has. Just pure perfection, and the fact that Avatar was even up against this is ridiculous. And,
right.
I mean, watching James Cameron sitting behind her, his ex-wife, you just want to punch him. Somehow he made it all about him the entire time, and I hated every moment of it. I'm glad she won, though.
Oh, absolutely. She absolutely deserved it. She directed this with just, it's pitch perfect. You don't get to see that very often. And while this is not a movie I can watch regularly.
No, it's not. You get movies like Gone Girl, just stuff that you just full on love.
Yeah.
I don't full on love this because of what it is, but what it is so perfect. You got to appreciate it and talk about how this someone like Requiem for a Dream, movies that aren't fun to watch, but man, is it just really just impressive that the way she caught it. Jeremy Renner is,
oh wow,
it's amazing. He's not Mark Wahlberg, or you know what I'm saying?
I think he's a little too weird to be
That could be.
anything. If that Jeremy Renner website was any indication, just
I don't know anything about it.
You don't know anything about Jeremy Renner's website?
I live in a bubble, man.
Oh, wow. There was a whole thing about his website not all that long ago where he revealed way too much about Jeremy Renner.
Like Jeremy Renner revealed way too much about Jeremy Renner?
Yeah. It's his website, and it's gone now, I believe, because it was just an ongoing bizarre nightmare, like just a fever dream of a human being for a short amount of time.
I'll have to look that up later on.
Yeah, I believe it was called JeremyRenner.com, and it was actually him. And that was the weird part, is that people wouldn't believe that it was actually him. Like, what? No, that's not really him. No, it totally was.
But he makes great movies.
He does. He's a great actor. He really is. He was, like you said, of Arrival. Like, he was the most essential element of Arrival. You had to have him in that movie. And here he's just the center point, and he's got this rare energy as an actor and a performer in this role. Like, you just look at this and go, this could not be anybody else. He is this character, and the tension, the anxiety, the constant pulse power. Your heart starts racing almost just when you see him enter a situation.
Right. If you haven't seen The Hurt Locker, you need to experience this. It's on Cinemax, I guess, right now. I just find it on Amazon as well for like $4.
I watched it on Blu-ray because I've had the Blu-ray for a while, and it's awesome.
Yeah, all my Blu-rays are all over the place. I have no idea if I have it or not. I'm almost going full digital. But she also directed a movie called Blue Steel back in 1990.
And it's interesting about Blue Steel, which came out this weekend in 1990, is that this movie is like what do you call it? The origination of a good director. Like, you can see the elements that she's working with that are going to work eventually when she gets in the Hurt Locker.
When she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, because otherwise it's kind of a bad movie.
Yeah.
But you can see where she's got a lot of really great talent as a director, and you can see the way she builds a scene. And I think she's limited by a script that is more interested in being like a horror movie than it is being a straight-ahead drama thriller like she's making here. It's a cop movie. Jamie Lee Curtis plays a rookie cop at the age of 35. She's a rookie cop on the beat. She ends up killing a guy who's robbing a place, but when she does that, the guy drops his gun, and the gun is stolen by a character played by, what's his name?
I don't know his name.
Ron Silver.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ron Silver, who is a trader on Wall Street. He steals the gun, and because he steals the gun, they think she shot a guy who didn't actually have a gun, even though everybody in the room says he had one. That doesn't matter, because the plot would require those people to be not there. The plot requires a lot of really stupid shit, is what I'm getting to.
Which is why when you say a horror movie, it's the perfect 80s. All the things that cliches in an 80s horror movie happen. Like the person, like the too old, like she's like the high school girl that's like 25. Like, that's what Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie. Now the killer's coming. Let's go have sex. That literally happens in this movie.
Yeah, we're going to take apart every part of your personal life. Then she goes on a first date with the guy. And nobody's there.
And nobody's there. And then they treat her like she's this straight. I mean, she's a rookie, so they show her the mistakes. But she's also very straight ahead, very ethical. Yet she's not telling about this boyfriend that they're not following at all. And then they try to make you believe that clearly he's the guy, and like some lawyer can come in and ruin everybody.
Everybody knows this is personal about her, because the killer in this case is writing her name on the bullet casings and then shooting random people in New York City. And they're finding the bullet casings with her name scratched into them. And everybody knows this is about her personally, and she's also starting a brand new relationship that nobody bothers to look into.
Yeah. And then at one point, she handcuffs her partner to the steering wheel for because he's going to not let her go. I mean, it's just dumb.
Yeah, it's a lot of dumb.
There's no logic behind it, but you're right. I mean, it's not the direction's fault. It's the story. The story is just...
No, and you can sense the like she knows how to pace. You know, you can sense the great pacing in a lot of these scenes. And individually, there are a lot of really good scenes. The story doesn't fit those scenes because she's like, first of all, she's way too old to be a rookie cop. Like, it's just I don't buy that for a second. Not that Jamie Lee Curtis was old at the time necessarily, but she was old enough to not be a rookie cop. She's also on the force for less than 3 days, gets kicked off, and made a detective.
Right.
Also,
because
nobody uses any basic knowledge of being a detective at any point in this movie, because the first thing you don't do is bring in the person who is the target of your investigation and have them handle the investigation.
Right.
She's the target. She's the person who's being sought after by this killer. She's not the one who should be doing the investigation. Use her as a resource, but for the most part, she needs to be quarantined somewhere. She needs to be socially distanced somewhere.
But what's neat, like to your point, though, is this movie becomes watchable, and it's as competent as it can be because Catherine Bigelow.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want to...
And Ron Silver gives a wonderfully unhinged performance.
Yeah, they all are invested. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis isn't bad. It's just her character's so dumb. And her partner his character is so dumb, but they play it as straight as they can. So you can't really complain about anything other than the fact that the story just sucks so bad.
I love the way Ron Silver is directed, though. I do.
Well, yeah. The direction's great.
I loved the fact that he's like this guy who's on Wall Street and he's got this high stress job and he is slowly coming apart. Like, there's an entire American Psycho like story going on in his character from a different movie, but yet he is the bad guy of this movie. And that's kind of fun to think about. Like, what's he doing the rest of the time? He's often just like bathing in people's blood.
And there's a movie where you can, use the high price. I'm a rich guy. I'm gonna get away with this, and you can make this. That movie exists probably. I mean, fucking Wolf of Wall Street. But you could make that movie too. To me, I wish the script. Someone would have come back and like fixed the script.
Yeah, they needed a big fix on the script to make it work.
In a way, it's almost more impressive that she made it watchable.
Jamie Lee Curtis isn't bad either. She's just miscast.
Right. Yeah, and just in a bad movie. Blind Fury. Remember
I didn't
that
get
one?
a chance to see it. This is a Rutger Hauer movie that is based off, I believe, of Zatoichi, the classic martial arts movie about the blind master. And they tried to Americanize it with Rutger Hauer.
The all-American Rutger Hauer. That's how we do it here.
And whether or not it worked or not, I don't know. I've never seen it. So
what's most disappointing about this week is both Lambada and The Forbidden Dance are not available.
What a bummer, man! I so wanted to see these movies. I guess they are available if you want to pay $4 for them. But after
a while.
But here's the thing, though, is that you can't search for Lambada anywhere. Because when you do, the Forbidden Dance comes up. But you can't search for the Forbidden Dance, because if you search for the Forbidden Dance, Lambada comes up, and you can't figure out which one is which. Because one is called Lambada, and one is called the Forbidden Dance Lambada.
They were not thinking about search engines back in 1990.
No, because these movies weren't really movies. They were about, like... These were meant as middle fingers back and forth between two producers. The guys behind Canon Films were just telling each other to go fuck themselves by releasing the same movie the same weekend.
It's amazing. Meanwhile, they're both burning up in flames and debt.
And just massive amounts of cocaine just back and...
We're just going to run this thing into the ground.
Two trains on the same track going right at each other.
Nothing we can do now.
The story of these two idiots is better than anything these two movies could be, even as bad as they both are. I watched clips And the funny thing is on Twitter or on YouTube when you're watching like clips of this movie, like the clips of Lambada and Forbidden Dance, like you can't tell which one's which, and so you end up watching both movies at the same time.
Is it like now? Are they actually two different movies, or do they just have like two different
They're
cuts?
two different movies. They are two legitimately different movies. One stars Melora Hardin, the other stars Laura Herring, and both before they became like indie actresses. They must have been just horribly scarred by making these movies.
It would almost be better if it was the same movie that they just cut differently. Like, here's the Doobie Brothers. Here's the Doobie Brothers over here. So, two different versions of them. Oh man,
it's so funny. There's the story of the making of this. Just watch Electric Boogaloo, the documentary. It's so much better than either of these two movies ever could be, even as you enjoy bad movies.
You remember Lord of the Flies?
I vaguely remember Lord of the Flies.
I remember watching it as a kid in school after reading the book.
I don't know if I looked for it this week or not.
Yeah, I don't know. The book was, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of either one, really.
I think there's a definitive Lord of the Flies, and that's the Simpsons episode. Which ends, this is the best ending of any Simpsons episode ever. All the kids are trapped on the island, and the narrator, James Earl Jones, comes on and goes, and then they were all saved. Well, let's say by Mo.
And then Nuns on the Run. Anything on that?
This is Eric Idle and Rob. I can't remember his name now. Anyway, it's a comedy. Two guys go on the run pretending to be nuns.
I'd have never guessed that.
Robbie Coltrane. That's it. Why do I care?
Human IMDb. Josh would have known that quicker. Okay, knows that.
He's not here, is he?
No. We got rid of his couch, too. I didn't even know it was gone until he came down here. Somehow my wife and teenage daughter carried the couch upstairs. I guess women are strong. I don't know why. I seriously didn't know that was gone when I came down
here. Just looked over and there it wasn't.
They did that while I was at work, so yeah. Next week, who knows? There'll definitely be some 90s movies. Pretty Woman comes out. We'll watch something with Richard Gere in it. Maybe Hoax, maybe Officer and the Gentleman. Probably not Primal Fear. The Ambulance, A Shock to the System, and The Fourth War, Fishy something. I scribbled it down. Can't remember what it was called. So
we don't even know if they're available.
Right. So we'll probably watch Pretty Woman for sure. Assuming that's available somewhere. I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then one of those Richard Gere movies. And then we'll just kind of surf around and find stuff streaming and watch that. So, because the theaters will be closed down. We may do a remote, we may not. That'll be up to Sean. We'll figure that out. If he wants to drive an hour or whatever it is to get here. And so, yeah, it's going to be weird for the next few weeks, but we'll have some sort of episode.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
You can make suggestions on the Facebook page of things for us to watch. We might watch Contagion, who knows?
Yeah, just Contagion, Outbreak, and all these. 28 days later. But yeah, that's our show.
Zombies. Instead of zombies, it's just people running around with boxes of toilet paper.
I do not get it.
28 rolls later.
That's the name of the podcast. Too bad this. Now I want this to last for 5 years so we can make a shirt. Well, this is going to be over in 2-3 weeks.
I think we just made the shirt. It's Cillian Murphy carrying a bunch of toilet paper.
Right, but it's not going to be relevant in a month.
with people with red eyes chasing you.
Jeff, you got... Hurry up. Can you do it for free? I'll write your IOU or put it on your own site. That needs to happen because...
We got a profiteer out there.
I don't got time to pay you in order to get it done. We have to get this going. The window is closing.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, that is our show. Our Patreon, I want to thank our supporters, the Key Grip level. We have Charlie Messing and Jason Bryant at the craft service level, Zach Codemaker at the character actor level, Josh and Beth Paul, Christina Cato, and Cousin Jeff, and then at the special effects level, Corey Finneran. If you want to get yourself a credit on the show, ihatecritics.net/Patreon, or just click on the Patreon link on our website and get yourself a credit. And then don't forget our TeePublic page, which is also at ihatecritics.net, and pick up one of Jeff's new designs or one of the old shirts. They're cool. I think they're funny. If you don't want to wear the shirt of a naked Cameron Diaz or a Willem Dafoe about to put a wiener in his mouth, get a magnet. Get a notebook. I mean, a pillow. It would be a great pillow. Put on your couch. If I had a couch, I'd get one and put it on there, but it's gone. This means nothing to anybody listening because I can't see the basement. But that's what I do. I waste people's time. Do you have time for Flick Chart?
Sure.
Oh, come on. Right off the bat, you have, not real movies. All right, The Recruit, True Romance.
True Romance.
Agreed. Showgirls, Joe Dirt.
Showgirls.
Yeah, I'm more likely to watch at least a couple minutes of that.
I've watched Showgirls way more than I should have.
I think I've maybe seen it once.
Must be weird having a job where guys don't come on you. Robert Davi must be the greatest actor in the world to deliver that line. He delivers that line with conviction, without breaking a sweat. There's just nothing about that line that phases him. I can't say it without just dying a little bit inside, and he just is able to say it.
But I can honestly say it's nice having a job where no one comes on me.
You've gotten to the heart of the truth a little.
Right.
That's what the
Brick, The Fountain.
Brick.
Agreed. Psycho, the remake, Platoon.
Psycho.
The remake?
Yeah.
I'm going Platoon. You got the quarter right there.
Yeah, fair enough. I just don't care about Platoon.
I've gathered that over these.
Heads.
The remake wins over the Oscar winner. Pitch Perfect, My Best Friend's Wedding.
My Best Friend's Wedding, because I think the two Pitch Perfect sequels are actually better than the first movie. The first movie's first movie's kind of bad, honestly.
But the Cup song.
Did
Scary.
I flip because of the
No, I don't care.
Okay.
Scary Movie 3, The Goonies.
Goonies, even though it doesn't deserve the cult that it has.
See, that's the kind of movies I hate the most. Is they're not bad. There's nothing wrong with them, but people like them too much.
Yeah, exactly. I worry about this. Not worry, but I find it annoying how much people talk about Back to the Future as being one of the all-time greatest movies. It's not. It's not.
Right.
It's wonderful for what it is. Stop conflating it to being one of the best movies of all time.
But yeah, that's what makes me more mad than Deuce Bigelow or something like that.
It reminds me way too much of country music. It's super popular, but it's not very good.
No.
Some of it's okay, and Back to the Future is a really fun movie. It's kind of like the best Garth Brooks song.
Or just pop music in general. Rumblefish, American Beauty.
Rumblefish. Tails.
Child molester wins. Borat, Donnie Brasco.
Borat. Because I watched that first.
I don't even know how good Donnie Brasco is. It's been so long since I've seen it. Creed, King Kong, 1933.
I'll go Creed, but I have a lot of respect for King Kong 30. Yeah, the 30s version.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been okay with King Kong winning, but Creed, I just am really close to that movie. Spider-Man 3, GoldenEye.
Spider-Man 3. I hate Bond.
Jaws, The Manchurian Candidate, 2004.
Jaws.
The Beastmaster, 1982. National Lampoon's European Vacation. I'm watching European Vacation over Beastmaster. I hate Beastmaster so much.
I hate them both, but I guess I'll go with you just because I don't really have an opinion here. I would say Fishing with Gandhi if Josh were here.
Well, he would go European Vacation anyway, so. No, my brother used to watch that all the time, and I'm like...
Beastmaster?
Yeah. I mean, we were like little kids. Because it was always on like Fox.
Yeah.
And it was the most boring movie ever, at least.
Because he didn't really master any beasts.
No.
When you get down to it.
Eraser, The Count of Monte Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo. It's actually not a bad movie.
Scream 2, Shooter.
Scream 2.
Shooter any good?
No. Shooter.
Is that a Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg movie?
I don't know if it's Peter Berg or not. I know it's Mark Wahlberg.
Man on the Moon, Under Siege.
Man on the Moon.
After Earth, 21 Jump Street.
Which one is After Earth?
Looks like Jaden Smith's in it.
Oh, okay. That's the Shyamalan one then. I can't remember. There's so many movies called After Earth. No. What's the other one?
21 Jump Street?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Source Code, Pocahontas.
Source Code.
Shanghai Noon, Walk the Line.
Ugh, boy. I guess I'll say Walk the Line just because
Walk the Line is not actually bad. I just don't like it as much as everybody else does. Jerry Maguire, Thelma and Louise.
Jerry Maguire. Both are good, though.
Mm-hmm. April Morning with Tommy Lee Jones or The Mist.
I don't know April Morning.
Neither do I. Scarface or The Mist.
The Mist. Scarface is worse.
I agree. My Best Friend's Wedding, Moonstruck.
My Best Friend's Wedding.
Fallen, 1998 or Coraline.
Coraline. Coraline's awesome.
Yeah. Tombstone, Never Been Kissed.
Tombstone. I like Never Been Kissed as a kind of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Catfish, Tremors.
Which one is Catfish?
That's the documentary. I guess
right.
The MTV made a show.
Yeah, I don't really care about that at all. Tremors.
Knock Knock. You haven't seen that. You got to watch that this week. I will buy it on my Amazon and give you my password. Or Nutty Professor 2.
I mean, I've not seen Knock Knock, so I can't.
We will reserve that for next week. Friday the 13th or The Patriot.
Which one's The Patriot?
Mel Gibson.
Oh, man.
Is it the Revolutionary War movie or something like that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what's the other movie?
Friday the 13th. Jason's mom.
Yeah. That one has Kevin Bacon getting killed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's go with that one.
I'd probably watch that one first.
Yeah.